held off on recording this. I literally just got inside from cutting the grass and kind of a mess, but I thought about this for about a week now. I had a rough interview. I'll be honest with you. I did not perform well at all. It was not something that I was proud of, and it's really easy for me, or it has been easy in my life to beat myself up about situations like this, but I realize that this is something that just happens sometimes. It doesn't matter if it's software engineering interview or something else where you have to perform. Sometimes you just don't hit the mark. Sometimes you just bomb it, and let's be honest, that's life. You put your best foot forward, and sometimes the wind is just not blowing the right way, or you didn't prepare the right way. Your mind was somewhere else. You were stressed. This kind of thing happens. Now, I came into this month knowing that I was stressed. I made a video at the beginning of the month where a lot of you reached out to me and sympathized with my interview process and how rough things are in the software engineering job market now. And I appreciate that. So I really wanted to almost make another video and say thanks, but I want to preliminarily thank everybody for reaching out because I've got a huge response. People have been reaching out to me in places and accounts I didn't even know I had, through my email, through form submissions on my website, LinkedIn. I want to thank all of you because the majority of you have been insanely kind. There have been hundreds of you reaching out, offering advice. There have been people that have jumped on calls with me to give me advice about how to start my own journey with software engineering and potentially consulting or creating my own app. And I really appreciate that. And anybody who keeps it coming, please do, because I'd love to talk to you when I get the chance. But I just can't get to everyone now. I'd love to be able to respond to all the comments, but I've never had this many comments to respond to. So thank you very, very much. So that's out of the way now. Now let's get back to the core of the problem that I had this week. I knew before I filmed that first video that popped off that I needed to take a break. I was stressed out, and you heard why. My eye was bleeding. I was so stressed. I needed a break from interviewing, and I needed a break longer than a month. I think a month was, it's not even been a month yet, but I needed more time to release. I was totally not ready to jump into any more interviews. I felt extremely stressed before these couple interviews that I've done post video, but I kind of felt like I just had to strike when the iron was hot, if that makes sense. When I'm getting all this visibility and I'm already desperate to get a job, I feel like I have to take these opportunities. So it, to me, it only made sense for me to just try, but it was a mistake. And if I had any advice for anybody, if you're feeling like you're not ready and you need that time to recover physically or mentally, take that time because you're only going to hurt yourself if you throw yourself in a situation when you're not ready. Now, I won't go too deep on this interview, and honestly, I really appreciate the person who did reach out to me and offered me this opportunity to talk. And it seemed very promising, and I think that they had a lot of promise in me and saw something in me. But ultimately, my nerves got to me. I let it be known that I was very nervous and stressed and anxious, and that my mind was probably going to turn to mush in this whole interview. So I did let that be known, and essentially that's what unfolded. Which surprisingly, during the other 15 interviews that I had done in these past 9 months, I had not folded like this a single time. I had optimally performed even though I was nervous. There was something different about my demeanor this time that even I recognized was off. So I was disappointed in that. Now to kind of talk about the interview and what happened and where I went wrong. I was kind of under the impression that this was going to be something where we could evaluate where I fit in to the team potentially, and something a little bit more laid back. But there was a technical aspect that I wasn't prepared for. Not that I haven't learned these things. There were some leak code style questions, very easy ones. We're talking literally like not quite two sum, but like on the easy list, you could probably go to leak code and go down to problem 567, and you would find these. So they're very easy problems. There was a lot of conceptual JavaScript questions involved that took me way back to things I haven't looked at in years, closures and I believe maybe even some async stuff and scoping. Like it's really funny that with as many projects as I've built, I have not gone back and really relearned some basic things like the difference between let, const, and var, things like this, things that I've known that I started learning 10 years ago that I just have not internalized in a way anymore because I'm so busy building um, that I didn't feel the need to go over things like that, and it makes it even more difficult when you're trying to embrace this whole AI craze where people want you to build fast. So like having a balance of not letting your skills degrade and also using AI is something that definitely degraded my skills, even though I have been trying to do a lot of manual coding. Um, they were just not as sharp as they have been before. And when you recognize something like that, it is a sign that you need to invest in yourself and um, maybe go back to the basics every once in a while and look into those things. I'm not afraid to admit that I'm not perfect. I like to think of myself as a good software engineer, but I can always improve. I do have my faults, and this was just the case. So, unfortunately, this opportunity did not turn into anything. And as casual as it kind of was supposed to be, it just didn't work out because I didn't perform. So, bummer, but the best thing I can do is just bounce back and recover and keep going and go about what my plans are. Um, I know I'm not a shitty engineer. I know this one bad interview was not something that is indicative of who I truly am and what my skills are. Although I do need to resharpen a lot of things in a lot of areas, that's for me to work on. I know where my skills and my value lie, and I know I can provide good work because I provided good work in the past in real production environments, um, for companies and contracts and all sorts of things. So I know that I've delivered and I can deliver, so I won't let this get me down. But it was a bummer that after successfully acing interviews and going through technicals and then just being so stressed because of everything that's happened to me, and then just absolutely bombing this one. So it was a little ego hit, to be honest. But you know what? I kind of appreciate that sometimes to bring you back to baseline. And so it's good. It's good. Sometimes you just need to be punched in the face, if you know what I mean. Like you need that little reinvigoration. So enough about that. Um, this strangely, I saw something on LinkedIn that made me think about the way my mind operates, and I wanted to share that with you. So I was browsing LinkedIn this week, and this post hit me right when I needed it the most. I don't believe, this is a public post, so I don't believe this person would mind at all me sharing this, as this is something that I can definitely relate with. And I'm actually just going to read the whole thing and then talk about it. I'm not even going to pause between paragraphs. I'll just read what John Porter said here, principal software engineer out of the UK, I believe. I just failed a technical test. How can that be? Well, so far, I have always failed technical tests. Always. I've been writing code, building websites, and doing all manner of very complicated architectures and workflows for decades. But I'm still almost always fail these tests. This specific test was for senior engineer position, but was so stupidly simple that my specific form of autism brain couldn't comprehend how to complete a junior grade test as a senior level engineer. It went into overdrive and panic meltdown. I look calm on the surface, but underneath have shut down. Interruptions from the hirers to be helpful made it 10 times worse, pulling my limited attention away what I was trying to process, and in the end, making it worse. I don't blame them. They didn't know and have a hard job to do. He goes on to talk about performance and about alternate decisions for showing people code and talking about things. This post was, it hit me hard because uh, I know he mentions here his specific form of autism brain, and I just want to make it clear I've never been diagnosed with any kind of autism. I've never gone to be checked out. I wouldn't be surprised if I did have something like this because I can be a little socially awkward and have some moments that are indicative of having an issue like this. But I don't have anything confirmed, so I cannot say that. But this hit me so hard because this is exactly what I and so many people like me and many software engineers experience. I know a lot of people who probably feel the same way that I've worked with in the past, and I guarantee you they feel the same way. Um, you you just cannot describe how hard it is to write code in front of someone. And the funny thing is I remember talking about this in my last job. We were all, in a group, and I believe some of the senior engineers were solving some problems. And a really senior engineer spoke up and said, I have not wrote code in front of other people in a while, and I just felt like my brain went to mush or something to that effect. They really felt like they had not remembered anything they knew about writing software, and this was from a very senior person, and I respected this a lot because it goes to show humanity, and it goes to show that we're not robotic, and that we're not really designed to be so vulnerable in our work sometimes, if that makes sense. Funny enough, in this interview that I just bombed, I actually mentioned this when we had a conversation about how I wasn't performing well in the interview and what was going on. Like, they had asked me, "What's up, man? Like, how what's going on?" And I personally, I have a different way of engineering. So I know there are a lot of people who are just very brilliant at direct recall in their memory. I am not one of those people that can directly recall code uh, very well at all, especially syntax. And I have preached on videos that I've made about the importance of syntax, and I wholeheartedly believe that syntax is an important part of learning how to develop software and being a software engineer. Architecting is one thing, but syntax is something I've held very high. But I myself cannot remember sometimes how to build a React function versus a regular JavaScript function when we're talking about error. I have to reference things and go look them up and say, oh, okay, that's how this is built. This is where we put the equal sign and the caret and the whatever to make this function, because I syntactically just don't remember how to build this function, or whatever it is. It's not that I don't know how it works. I just don't remember where to place things. And this is something that I've dealt with ever since I started learning about web development, software programming, and all of the above. I have been a person that fervently references documentation. I have it pulled up all the time, Google's constantly. It's not that I don't know how to put the pieces together. I can architect software very well, but I just need good reference to remember how to build things syntactically. Um, so I had explained to this person that was interviewing me that in the beginning I said my brain is probably going to go to mush. And this is exactly what they say. They went into overdrive and panic meltdown. This is what I felt on the inside. I felt like I was just in overdrive in my mind, but on the outside, I looked normal. I was completely shut down. There was nothing. I was even taking long pauses. I think I didn't speak for a minute straight at one point, and I was trying to recollect myself. And I could not get my mind to just crank back up and write code. And this is how I am. But if you take me out of this interview into an environment where I've got my music on, I like listening to intelligent drum and bass. In case you wanted to know, maybe I should share that playlist. Makes me feel like I can focus a lot, and I like to be silent, and I like to write my code, architect my things, and build a product or a feature or fix a bug or whatever it is. And then I have no issue at all talking with senior engineers after about how I approached this problem, how I built it, and I can even show them that code. But as far as practicing in front of a person, I've done mock interviews, I've done the work to try to do these things, and I've gotten through that. But there's always this part of me that just has never been able to break through. And you may call it an excuse, but I do honestly blame the way my brain works. It just does not work in this format. And clearly, I don't think this person was looking for someone who worked in the format that I did, because they were looking for someone who kind of knew these algorithms, these data structures, direct, syntax. They wanted someone who could directly recall these things immediately. And they even let me know that, a person, a software engineer, should be able to do these things, these simple things, in less than a minute. Um, so they were looking for something completely different than what I could offer. I do respect them a lot. They're a very smart person and they're very successful, and I appreciate them. I really do. But it just wasn't going to be a right fit. And this post really just grabbed me, and I think a lot of people watching my videos can relate to this, and how this is just a broken system for as a whole for software engineering interviews. I don't think technical tests or technical interviews are indicative of um, how a person codes or writes software or architect software. I perform a lot better in system style engineering questions, as far as interviews go. I I'm just better at explaining how I would manipulate data, or how I would manage large data sets, or how I would implement a database. And I think you can tell a lot about a person whenever you just talk to them. Um, but a lot of companies are looking for someone who can impress them and can syntactically keep themselves together. So, anyways, thank you, John Porter, for posting this and letting us all relate. It looks like you got a pretty good response on LinkedIn. I hope that more people see this after this video. But um, yeah, so I'm gonna get back up on my feet and start doing my thing. The gears are turning for me. I don't know if this format that I'm looking for as far as work is something that I need to be chasing. I believe I'm gonna invest more time in building something myself, and invest a little bit less time in actually interviewing. I'm not gonna quit interviewing. I would love to have a position somewhere and just offer my skills. That would be amazing. So if you do want to reach out to me and you believe that you see something in me, please do. I would love to chat and see what I can offer to you. And if you just want to talk, you can reach me in all the various places that people have found me. Really appreciate you all. And I hope that uh, you guys can relate to this. And, you know, we're all in this together. It's a tough time. It's a tough time. So be easy on yourself, get back on your feet, and we'll chat later.